Both my daughter and the daughter of the woman my husband loves were rushed into the emergency room at the same time. But my husband, Adrian, a doctor, chose to save her daughter first. I was devastated, torn between grief and anger as I stared at him. "Adrian, that's your biological daughter lying there," but he calmly responded, "A good doctor treats all patients equally. In my eyes, there's no personal bias, only patience." Later, when her daughter regained consciousness, mine was still lying there, her body full of tubes. I stayed by her bedside for 3 days and nights. Finally, she woke up. I frantically called Adrian, "Hurry, please." But his impatient voice came through the phone. "I'm currently examining Clara and her mother. Talk later." And he hung up. My daughter looked at me with despair and whispered, "Mom, it hurts so much. Didn't you say Dad was a white-robed angel?" Holding her fragile body, I collapsed in tears. In that moment, I knew I could never be with Adrian again. "Mom, it hurts." My daughter whimpered. Her tiny face pale, her breathing weak. "You'll be okay, baby. Mommy's here." "I'm here," I sobbed. Blood blurred my vision as it streamed down her forehead. The car had been crushed beyond recognition. We were trapped. All I could do was wait in silence for the rescue team. The ambulance sirens grew louder until, finally, I saw that familiar white coat. Adrian, he was the lead emergency doctor on duty at the city's central hospital. There had been a massive chain collision on the overpass, and more than a dozen ambulances were dispatched. Who would have thought? The first doctor to arrive would be him. I was relieved. Since Adrian was working today, I'd taken Luna back to my hometown for the Lunar New Year. We had agreed earlier, it would be safer to take the overpass with no traffic lights. Even if he forgot, he should have recognized our license plate. My daughter saw Adrian approaching and joyfully reached out her tiny hand. Just as her fingers were about to touch the hem of his white coat, he walked right past her. He didn't even brush against her sleeve. My heart nearly stopped as I watched him rush by. He didn't even glance at us. Instead, he ran to the car in front of ours, where 2 people were injured. The windshield was shattered. I saw clearly Adrian was urgently tending to the wounds of a woman and her daughter. That woman was Clara, his longtime infatuation, and her child. My daughter cried out, "Mom, why didn't Dad come save me?" A steel rod had pierced her chest. Blood gushed from her mouth as she screamed. In a panic, I pressed my hands to her chest, trying to stop the bleeding. "Adrian, please, help us. Help me and our daughter," I screamed. "She's losing so much blood." But my cries were drowned out by a nearby explosion. Flames erupted among the tangled cars. I watched in despair as Adrian carried Clara and her daughter to safety. "Don't be afraid," I heard him tell the little girl. "Uncle will protect you. I'll protect your mommy too." Tears poured down my face as I watched my daughter's condition worsen. "Don't fall asleep, sweetie. Stay with mommy." My daughter looked at me weakly and smiled. "Mom, I really miss Dad, but he's always busy. It's been 206 days since I last saw him." "Mom, will Dad come save me?" "I'm sorry. I couldn't hold on to his coat," she whispered, her voice growing fainter. I pounded the car door with my bloodied hands, screaming like a madwoman, "Is anyone there? Please, someone save my daughter." Finally, other rescuers noticed us. The deformed car door was pried open, and my daughter's frail body was carried into an ambulance. Twice her heart stopped beating, twice she was revived. I couldn't stop crying. Her small body was covered in electrodes. The defibrillator, almost as big as her chest, shocked her again and again. I bit into my own wrist to stop myself from crying out loud. She was rushed into surgery. Not long after, one of the doctors came out. It was Adrian's colleague. "Luna is in critical condition. The steel rod has nearly pierced through her entire chest. This operation, Adrian should be the one to do it." My hands shook. I called Adrian, but he didn't answer. Just endless beeps, like a headless fly. I I ran all over the hospital looking for him. Then I saw him outside, in the flower garden, gently holding Clara's daughter. He was smiling warmly, just like a doting father. I thought of Luna, still fighting for her life inside the OR. Rage erupted inside me. I slapped him, his face froze. Clara's daughter began to cry. Adrian scolded me. Elena, what are you doing? Don't scare her. He patted the girl's back tenderly, like a loving father. Adrian. Do you know how many times I've called you? I shouted, my voice cracking. All right, all right. I'm still working, he said dismissively, then turned to leave. Clara's injured. I'm taking care of her daughter. Help her for now. I was about to speak when Clara called from not far away. Adrian, she's been checked. Her gentle voice carried a hidden fragility. I saw Adrian's concerned gaze, one he'd never given me. I instinctively grabbed his arm. Adrian, come with me. Luna needs. He pulled away, clearly annoyed. Elena, stop causing trouble. Clara and her daughter were seriously hurt. They need me. I stood there, watching him walk away. Adrian. You're not even human. I screamed after him. Luna is in surgery. He turned, scowling. Don't use Luna as an excuse. I've told you, Clara has no special place in my heart. I'm helping her out of guilt. Stop delaying our daughter's treatment. He furrowed his brows. Elena, if only one of the girls can be saved, Luna or Clara's daughter, who would you pick? He didn't answer. Doctors treat all patients equally, he finally said, and ran off to be with Clara. I watched him pull Clara into his arms. Don't worry. I'm here. I won't leave you. Their figures vanished down the hallway. I saw Clara glance back at me. Her once innocent face now wore a look of triumph. Adrian. You'll regret this for the rest of your life. I screamed after them, but only an empty hallway replied. I returned to the OR, waiting. And waiting. My body and soul crushed. I collapsed to the floor. Adrian's colleague gently helped me up and handed me a cup of hot water. Sister-in-law, don't be too sad. The best doctors in the hospital are treating Luna. He looked sincere, thinking back. Maybe it wasn't right to suggest Adrian take the case. His emotions are complicated. He offered to help treat my wounds. If not, Adrian might be upset. I murmured, upset? Adrian? No. Adrian had always seen me as a man in a woman's body. He forgot I needed protection too. Ever since Luna was born, he'd been distant. I'd raised her like a single mother. From changing light bulbs to fixing tires, I did it all. When I asked for help, he always said, I believe in your abilities. During the COVID lockdown, Luna and I were stuck at home with little food. Adrian, meanwhile, quarantined with Clara and her daughter. He said he was just delivering food. When Luna had a mango allergy and couldn't breathe, Adrian coldly said, how was I supposed to know she's different from other kids? I knew then. Other kids meant Clara's daughter. We argued often over Clara. He always defended her. She's a widow. I should help her. I remembered everything. My breath grew short. Just then, the OR door opened. Luna was wheeled out, her face white as snow, covered in tubes. The doctor sighed. She lost too much blood. Her organs may be failing. She might only have a few days left. My vision blurred. Tears streamed down my face. I called my lawyer. I want a divorce. 24 hours later, Luna miraculously opened her eyes. I burst into tears, overwhelmed with joy, but I didn't dare touch her fragile, tube-filled body. I just sat there, crying and laughing. Mom. I'm okay, she whispered softly, but no one expected that the very next day, she would fall into a coma again. My heart clenched as if held by a vice. On the third day, the doctor came to me. His words crushed what little hope I had left. Your daughter's condition is deteriorating. It's time for final visits from the family. That moment, my world completely collapsed. I left the room and dropped to my knees, clawing at the ground, my fingernails digging into my flesh, but I felt nothing. I pressed my hands to my mouth, trembling. trying not to cry out loud. Minutes passed. I wiped away my tears and began making calls to our relatives. Soon, my parents, my cousin, and my younger cousin all arrived at the hospital. Adrian. He was an orphan we'd taken in years ago. He had no family of his own. But he was Luna's father, yet he was still nowhere to be found. He didn't answer any of my calls. In fact, he had blocked my number. He had done this before, cutting me off for a week, then pretending nothing happened. Back then, I was just angry and thought he was being childish. Now, I hated him with every fiber of my being. I grabbed my cousin's phone and walked outside to call him again. Adrian, Elena, I know it's you. Stop being irrational. I'm doing a checkup for Clara and her daughter. If there's something urgent, wait. Click. He hung up. I was stunned. My parents were the first to speak. He answered. What did he say? What's going on with him? Luna is on the brink of death, and he still won't come? What kind of husband is he? What kind of father? My father's voice trembled with fury. My cousin's eyes reddened. That bastard. I'll drag him back myself. Where is he? My younger cousin couldn't take it anymore and stormed out to search for him. When she came back, her face was pale with anger. I saw him. He was helping a woman walk across the hospital courtyard. My heart cracked wide open. I bit my lip so hard it went numb. I pinched the skin on my arm until it turned white. Only pain could keep me from breaking down completely. Then someone in the room muttered through gritted teeth, that heartless bastard. Luna, lying on the bed, murmured weakly, her voice filled with sorrow, where's Daddy? I want to see him. Her voice was barely audible. Mom. It hurts. Didn't you say Daddy was a white-robed angel? The alarm went off. Luna's little body convulsed. I shouted her name, hoarse and trembling, Luna. She didn't respond. Someone pulled me away from the bed. Through the glass window, I could only watch helplessly as doctors and nurses surrounded her tiny frame, trying to resuscitate her. The beeping monitors fell silent, red lights turned yellow, a straight line appeared on the screen. I rushed into the room. When I woke up, someone was lying by my bedside, head resting on their arms, tightly gripping my hand. Elena, you're finally awake. Adrian looked at me with relief, his face filled with guilt and remorse. His hair was a mess, eyes sunken with dark circles, stubble covering his chin. He looked exhausted. I slowly sat up. Elena, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Smack. Smack, 2 loud slaps landed hard on Adrian's face. My heart surged with rage and grief. All the pain, all the sorrow that had been boiling inside me came flooding out like a tidal wave. I lashed out, hitting him with everything I had. Only by doing this could I begin to release the suffocating agony buried deep within me. They had already covered her with a white sheet. Time of death, 4:43 p.m., February 9, 2024. I heard sobbing all around me. My entire body swayed. The world blurred. No. Luna's not dead. Why are you all crying? I muttered to myself, louder and louder. Someone tried to restrain me. Someone hugged me. I couldn't hear. Couldn't feel. My heart was torn in two, right BEF. Adrian's face was quickly covered with scratches. He didn't fight back. He just grabbed my wrists, his voice low and pleading. Elena, I'm sorry. I didn't know. About you and Luna. Back then, I spat at his face. How dare you even mention Luna in front of me? You're her father, and yet you didn't save her. You didn't even go see her one last time. She died from poison, and you didn't lift a finger. You're worse than an animal, Adrian. My voice cracked with emotion. Do you know how badly she wanted to see you before she died? I jabbed a finger into his chest, tears burning my eyes. And you? You were with another woman. You blocked my calls. I called and called, but you didn't pick up once. Adrian grabbed my hands again, begging, wife. Please, I was wrong. I shouldn't have ignored your calls. It was all just a terrible mistake. Let's think this through. We can still have another child, mistake? You call that a mistake? I was trembling with fury. When Luna was taken to the hospital, I told you. And what did you do? You told me not to cause trouble. If you had operated on her, she wouldn't have died. You killed her. I pounded on his chest. If I had an axe right now, I'd cut your chest open just to see if your heart is black. Adrian looked shattered. Luna's only been gone a few days, I said coldly. And you still have the audacity to talk to me about a future? There is no later anymore. I glared at him, my voice icy. We're getting a divorce. Adrian suddenly dropped to his knees, tears streaming from the corners of his eyes. I was wrong, Elena. I truly know I was wrong. Please, forgive me. How can we possibly get divorced? He clutched my hand, begging desperately. At that moment, the door burst open. Clara barged in, dragging a little girl behind her. The child ran straight toward me and dropped to her knees beside Adrian, mimicking his posture. Clara's long hair cascaded over her shoulders. She wore a thin knitted sweater, her figure prominently displayed. Though kneeling, her head remained held high as she looked straight at Adrian. Mr. Adrian, it's all my fault, she sobbed. If only the one you saved that day wasn't me and my child, Luna might still be alive. She was just a child. Hugh. Clear tears streamed down Clara's pale cheeks. To anyone who didn't know the truth, she would seem like the grieving mother herself. Adrian frowned. Clara, this isn't your fault. Please leave. You're not to blame. But Clara shook her head, eyes full of tears, and pulled her daughter down to bow before me. She had only managed a couple of bows before Adrian quickly pulled her into his arms. Clara, what are you doing? It was just an accident. Don't blame yourself. The two of them held each other, like star-crossed lovers drenched in tragedy. I stared at them coldly, fingers clenched tightly into fists. Clara's daughter stood about as tall as Luna had, barely reaching my waist. She broke free from her mother's arms, ran over to me, and kicked my knee hard. You meanie. Don't bully my mommy. I pushed her gently, and she fell to the ground, bursting into tears. Ms. Elena, Clara cried as she rushed over to cradle her daughter. I know you're grieving, but my child is innocent. Adrian frowned. Elena, you shouldn't confuse right and wrong. I stepped forward and grabbed Clara by the hair. Slap. 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 I slapped her hard, again and again. Her previously delicate, innocent face was now red and swollen. Clara covered her face, staring at me through trembling fingers before bursting into tears. Ms. Elena. Why did you hit me? Have you gone mad? Adrian leapt up and pulled her and the child behind him. If you have a problem, come at me. Clara didn't do anything wrong. My rage surged again. I'm hitting you both because you killed my daughter. If I don't beat her, I'll never be able to face Luna again. Adrian tried to stop me, but just then, my cousins burst through the door and pinned him down. I yanked Clara's long hair, her screams piercing the room. Only then did my anger begin to subside, but it wasn't enough, not nearly enough. Elena. Stop. Adrian shouted. I ignored him and gave Clara a few more slaps. Finally, she stopped pretending. Grabbing her child, she fled, screaming all the way. Adrian turned to scold me, but my cousin stepped in between us. My older cousin threw the divorce papers our lawyer had prepared straight at Adrian's chest. Sign it. Then get lost. Adrian's eyes darkened, but he knew he had lost. Elena. I won't divorce you. Let me explain about Clara. Then he ran after her. My cousin stayed to comfort me. Forget him. Focus on Luna's funeral first. I nodded calmly. I understand. But before that, I need to go to the hospital for some tests. Please help me handle the funeral preparations. I'll come back after the checkup. They looked puzzled but agreed. That same day, the police came to the hospital looking for me. I was a suspect in an assault case and they intended to bring me in for questioning. Calmly, I pulled out the psychological evaluation I had prepared in advance and placed it on the table in front of the officer. My daughter just passed away a few days ago. And I've just been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. As I spoke, tears rolled down my cheeks uncontrollably. The young officer leading the group looked visibly flustered. Perhaps he understood my grief. Eventually, I finished signing the required paperwork and was allowed to return to my hospital room. Not long after, Clara saw me walking back into the room looking perfectly fine. Her expression stiffened slightly. I walked straight toward her. She instinctively stepped back a few paces, panic written all over her face. I bumped into her shoulder on purpose and leaned in close, gritting my teeth. If I ever see you again, anywhere, I will hit you. Every single time. Clara looked at me with a mix of fear and hatred. Upon my discharge from the hospital, Adrian came to pick me up. I slapped him across the face the moment I saw him. Adrian, I said coldly, if you still have any shred of humanity left in you, if you still see Luna as your daughter, don't let me down on the day of her funeral. But when that day came, Adrian was nowhere to be seen. Our family and friends cursed his name. Furious at his absence, half an hour passed before he finally arrived in a hurry. I gave him a bitter, mocking smile. Late again? Let me guess, was it Clara this time? Did she faint again? A fever, maybe. Adrian's expression soured. He forced a pained smile. Elena, please. Today is Luna's funeral. Can we not? Then why? I cut him off. Are you late to your own daughter's funeral? He had no reply. A few distant relatives, who hadn't been at the hospital and didn't know the full story, were now being updated by my cousins. Once they understood what had really happened, everyone turned on him. His daughter's ashes aren't even cold, and he's already with another woman? No wonder Lin divorced him. A dog like him doesn't deserve a family. I heard he left Elena and Luna bleeding in the street to go save Clara's child. Is that true? Adrian's face turned green, then red. He tried to leave, but the crowd wouldn't let him. When Luna's ashes were brought out, Adrian reached for the urn. My cousin shoved him back. You weren't there when she needed you. You don't get to touch her now. He fell to the ground, helpless, filthy dog. Someone spat. You ignored your daughter in life, now you want to pretend you care in death? He was banned from even stepping into Luna's burial site. I stood quietly before her grave, running my fingers over the red lettering carved into her headstone. Luna, don't worry. Mom will never forgive the ones who hurt you. From that day on, Adrian never came home again. Whether it was guilt or fear, he started sleeping in the hospital's on-call room. I had the locks changed on our apartment. He started delivering food and drinks to Clara and her daughter in the high-rise she lived in. When I saw the photos Tam 22, private investigator Tam, sent me, Adrian carrying Clara's daughter in one arm, laughing with her like a happy family, I felt the bile rise in my throat. Our daughter had just died. And he was laughing. My cousins took the photos and letters I'd prepared, evidence of Adrian's affair with Clara, and mailed them to every single household in her apartment building. They made sure to paste the photos all over her floor, especially in the hallway outside her unit. Every neighbor would see the truth. Meanwhile, I logged into Adrian's hospital forum account. Using his name, I uploaded photos of him and Clara walking hand in hand, laughing, with her daughter in his arms. I attached a detailed account, exposing how Adrian had abandoned his critically injured daughter to save the child of another woman, Clara, his mistress. That afternoon, my phone blew up. Adrian, now aware I had hacked both his WeChat and his phone, began using a series of new numbers to reach me, one after another. I blocked them all. When he realized he couldn't reach me, his messages became frantic. Elena, I know you hate me, but don't drag innocent people into this. Luna's death was an accident. I didn't want this to happen. Clara and I, there's nothing between us. Please, why are you doing this? I didn't even bother replying. The only appropriate response for people like Adrian and Clara is silence. Not long after, the banging on my front door began. Elena, I know you're in there. Open the door. Let's talk. Elena, please stop this. You're hurting innocent people. I had anticipated this. The miniature camera I'd hidden in a potted plant by the door was already live streaming. A second camera hung from the collar of my shirt. Once I confirmed the stream was stable and the audience growing, I opened the door. Adrian was there, angry and restless. Beside him stood Clara, Pretending to be pitiful, Elena, Adrian growled, how long are you going to keep making a scene? What you're doing is not only ruining my name, you're hurting others too. I raised my camera and aimed it straight at Clara. Oh? You mean her? I said with a mocking smile, your innocent lover. Adrian's patience wore thin. But I glanced at my phone, viewer count in the live stream just hit 4 digits. I sneered, you say you and Clara have nothing going on? Then why, when you arrived at the accident, did you ignore your own daughter, critically injured, and run straight to save Clara's kid? The internet exploded. Clara tried to speak, but I cut her off coldly. Shut your mouth. Don't you dare pretend to grieve in front of me. I slapped her. If you truly felt sorry for me and my daughter, you would have apologized. But no, you never said a word of regret. Instead, you latched onto my husband like a leech. Clara burst into tears, but it didn't help. The comments flooded in. Green TBTCH. This man is scum. Ignored his own daughter. They deserve to rot together. Adrian caught a glimpse of the live stream on my phone. His face twisted into rage. He lunged forward, trying to grab it. I sidestepped easily and stuck out my foot. He tripped and hit the ground hard. Clara shrieked and rushed to help him up, dabbing at the blood trickling from his nose. Min, are you okay? It's all my fault. I never should have. Adrian growled and launched himself at me again, but before he could reach me, I shouted, help. He's attacking me. He's going to kill me. The security guards from the complex had already been called. They rushed in and shielded me. I clung to one guard's arm, trembling, please help me. My husband. He's abusive. I've recorded everything, I said, pointing to the camera on my chest. Adrian's face turned ashen. His jaw clenched in fury. Elena, he snarled, let's go, Clara said quickly, tugging at his arm. Let's not make things worse. Once they were gone, I uploaded the entire live stream, then I posted it to Adrian's hospital forum for good measure. To ensure Adrian wouldn't dare come back, I had an iron gate installed at my front door. I packed my bags and returned to my parents' house. That same week, my cousin came to see me. There's good news and bad news, he said, placing a glass of water in front of me. Everyone at Adrian's hospital, nurses, doctors, janitors, knows about what he did. They're all criticizing him. I nodded calmly, and the bad news? He's still working. The higher-ups may not suspend him just because of what happened in his personal life. My hands trembled, so this bastard would get away with everything, but then he added, I spoke to a friend at another hospital. He says the only way to pursue this is through the emergency response protocols. If Adrian violated medical triage procedures, we'll have grounds. That night, I started researching everything I could. During the accident, emergency workers had labeled patients using color-coded tags, black for deceased, green for stable, yellow for serious, red for critical. Luna had a red tag. I had a green one. I remembered it now. But what use was that memory if Adrian ignored the labels? Tears slid down my cheeks again. Still, I knew what I had to do. Tomorrow, come with me to the hospital, I told my cousin. Luna can't die in vain. The next day, we walked into the hospital director's office with printed documents in hand. These are records showing that my daughter, Luna, was marked as a red tag, most critical, I said calmly, yet Dr. Adrian bypassed her, ignored the triage protocol, and rushed out to save another patient. If the hospital does not investigate this negligence, I added, I will escalate to the city's health bureau, and if needed, to the provincial authorities. The director's confident face changed to panic. He called the medical team in, nurses, attending doctors, and finally, Adrian. When Adrian walked in and saw me, he scowled. Elena, what now? Causing trouble again? The director snapped. Adrian, shut your mouth. Everyone is accountable for their actions. I stared coldly at the group. All I want is justice, for my child. The room fell into heavy silence. The director broke it. Let's start with the nurse who labeled the patients that day. Nurse looked from me to Adrian. Hesitant, I don't remember clearly, she stammered. I think I labeled patients based on severity. You're a mother too, I said softly. You understand the pain of losing a child. Please. Don't lie. I dropped to my knees, she froze, stunned, and then broke down. It's true. Dr. Adrian didn't follow the triage label. He ignored the red-tagged child. She's lying. Adrian shouted, No, I'm not. Nurse cried. You didn't even look. You ran straight outside to find Clara Dew and her daughter. Another doctor nodded. I saw it too. Adrian stepped back in shock, knocking over a teacup that shattered on the ground. The director sighed heavily. Adrian, you're suspended indefinitely. I walked out of that hospital and looked up. Just moments ago, dark clouds had covered the sky. Now, sunlight poured through, as if Luna was watching. Elena. Adrian's voice echoed behind me. I picked up my pace, but he ran ahead and blocked me. Elena. Is this really how it ends between us? He dropped to his knees in the middle of the parking lot, in front of everyone. He slapped his own face. I'm not even human. I didn't mean to hurt her. Please believe me. For the first time since it all began, I looked him in the eye, calm and composed. I know you didn't mean to, Adrian, I said, and that's exactly the problem. You prioritized Clara and her child over me and Luna. That is the truth. Tell me. How many times did you hold Luna? Change her diapers? Sit beside her bed when she was sick? When was the last time you heard her call you daddy? Adrian's face turned white, his arms dropped to his sides. I sneered, maybe Clara's daughter should start calling you dad. You've certainly earned it. He stayed on his knees, shaking, until I walked away. Behind me, I heard his anguished scream. A few days later, my cousin sent me a video. It showed a man barging into Clara's apartment. He grabbed Clara by the hair and slammed her to the floor. Adrian, completely naked, rushed out to stop him and was immediately kicked aside. You said I was dead? You told everyone you were a widow so you could shack up with this guy? The man slapped Clara hard across the face. Turned out, Clara's husband wasn't dead at all. He'd just been working far away, sending money home, and the child? Not his. Rumor had it the real father was Clara's sugar daddy, a coal mine owner, whose wife eventually kicked Clara out, barefoot and humiliated. Some say she was dragged back to her village, some say she wandered the streets, homeless. As for Adrian, he never came home again. I changed the locks, and he began sleeping in the hospital's staff room. Photos emerged of him bringing food to Clara's apartment, playing house with her daughter as if they were a family. My cousins made sure every neighbor saw those photos. The entire community began to whisper. I blocked Adrian from every app, every number, every avenue, and slowly, day by day, I erased him from my life. Time passed, years flowed by like water. On Luna's death anniversary, I visited her grave, where I found Adrian already standing there. He'd aged terribly, gray hair. Balding, once proud and handsome, now slouched and bloated. He looked at me, then down at my left hand. The diamond ring on my finger sparkled in the sun. Are you happy now? He asked softly. I smiled, caressing my belly gently. Yes, I replied. I'm very happy. I feel like Luna's come back to me. Side story, Adrian's monologue. The biggest mistake of my life was losing Luna, and losing Elena. When I finally discovered Clara's lies, I was sick with regret, but it was too late. I lost everything. She'll never come back to me. I'll spend the rest of my life repenting. As I stood there by the roadside, watching a truck barrel toward me, I closed my eyes. In that instant, I heard Luna's voice. Hee, Daddy, you finally came to find me. In that moment, sunlight poured down from every direction, and a gentle smile bloomed on my face. Thank you for listening to this story with MoonWhisper. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, follow, and share to support MoonWhisper in bringing you more heart-touching stories. Sending you lots of love. Yellow Heart.